When it comes to Twitch, I have this routine of spending the first few minutes surfing around, seeing who's streaming, and deciding what kind of vibe I want to be a part of.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Thanks for being here, guys. I appreciate you.
And a crucial part of Twitch's appeal is that ability to jump from personality to personality and to be comforted by routine or surprised by something new and fresh.
Today a bird flew into my window and died. Then I took my ice cream and I sat there and cried.
And man was I surprised when, on a random Sunday in September, I threw on Pokimane expecting, well, Pokimane. And while a version of Pokimane was certainly streaming, it was not a version I was expecting at all. A version that sent me down a rabbit hole to a community I barely knew anything about. VTubing.
Have confidence. No confidence.
So yeah, Pokimane recently showed off a VTuber model of herself, which she intends to use on days that she just doesn't feel like being on camera.
So nice to almost be able to reinvent yourself online and have a great time. I think that kind of thing is appealing to just about anyone. And this seems like literally just taking that, but to the next level.
And almost immediately, there was backlash. Sure, there was the general irrational anger that pops up whenever Pokimane does anything, but more specifically, it seemed to divide the VTuber community. Some VTubers claimed that she was just cashing in on a trend that smaller creators helped build, but others openly welcomed her into the community, seeing her participation as a good thing. And one VTuber named Sero, who I spoke to for this video, wondered why anyone was upset in the first place.
I think really it's just Poki has a little bit of like drama in her past and people just want to hate Poki for Poki, and it was less so the VTuber thing.
Sero says that in her experience, this negative response to Pokimane being a VTuber isn't actually accurate to the scene. Most VTubers are actually pretty welcoming and want nothing more than the scene to grow. According to Sero, not only has Pokimane's model been in the works for a while, but she even replaced the artist's computer when it randomly died. Similar to Pokimane using her VTuber model when she just doesn't want to appear on camera, it's not uncommon for people to use VTubing as a way to take the pressure or sometimes objectifying nature of streaming off of them, while also creating work that they typically wouldn't make. And VTubing has caught on with popular streamers like Lily Pichu, who also just had a model created for her. And then there's Mizkif with whatever the hell he's doing.
Hi!
But here's the thing, VTubing has existed in one form or another for decades at this point. So let's rewind and explain how the hell we got here. Now, we gotta make a quick stop in 1961, when a technology called speech synthesis was pioneered, which back then was basically a rudimentary form of text-to-speech singing. Fast forward to 2004, and something called Vocaloids were created. And as a predecessor to VTubers, Vocaloids are 2D and 3D rendered models who can sing and perform using a version of speech synthesis technology. They were, and still are, insanely popular. Now, the VTuber community of today originated in Japan. And at its core, being a VTuber combines a culture that values anonymity and privacy with emerging technologies. See, in Japan, it's not unusual for musicians or performers to wear masks on stage in order to protect their identity. Even certain social media platforms encourage users to remain anonymous online.
It's definitely like a huge thing, the anonymous factor in the community. Like, it's something that everyone is very respectful of. Like, it's very frowned upon for people to try to like figure out someone's actual identity like behind their avatar.
Combine advances in body tracking software throughout the 2010s and a proliferation of social media platforms with an ingrained philosophy of maintaining anonymity online, and a collision course almost seemed inevitable. Enter Kizuna Ai. Bursting onto the scene in 2016, Kizuna claims to be the first ever VTuber. And despite implying to her audience that she's some sort of artificial intelligence, she's actually fully voiced by a Japanese actress. Her almost 3 million YouTube subscribers follow along as she plays video games, draws random stuff, and chats with her fans. She's become so popular that the Japanese government even made her an official ambassador for tourism. On top of that, she's appeared in a variety of different commercials, anime TV shows, and even hosted a variety show called Kazuna Ai no Beat Scramble. Fast forward a few years, and the VTuber community has exploded. According to Hypersense, a face tracking technology company and research firm, there are thousands of different virtual celebrity and VTuber accounts on YouTube. Sitting alongside Kazuna Ai in terms of popularity are models like Kaguya Luna and Mirai Akari. Together, they create this kind of trifecta of VTuber insanity, with all three frequently showing up in each other's videos. And of course, due to popularity, even talent agencies have emerged. One of the biggest ones, HoloLive, has dozens of channels and personalities signed to its roster. While an agency like HoloLive might represent a more corporate shift for some of the VTubing community, using a model or an avatar is a form of creative expression. It's the ability to roleplay as someone other than yourself. And the creative design of these models are often personal, relating back to an aspect of the person behind the screen. It's only natural for VTubers to be protective about their craft's sudden explosion in popularity among people who showed no interest in it a few months ago. But the thing is, streamers like Pokimane aren't really a threat to the legitimacy or longevity of VTubing. If anything, she's helping to introduce people to something that they might actually become passionate about. The biggest thing that I took away from jumping down this rabbit hole isn't that VTubing is weird or is something to scoff at. Shit, at one point, watching Twitch at all was weird. VTubing has become another vibe, another opportunity to feel comfortable. And ultimately, it's another community for people to enjoy being a part of. And even though I discovered that the world of VTubing is actually really cool, at the end of the day, I've decided it's just not for me. Alex, what the f-